gave to the State Department this past week.
With me now, Christina Bellantoni, assistant managing editor of politics for the Los Angeles Times. From Roll Call, columnist Jonathan Allen, the co-author of Shattered, Inside Hillary Clinton's Doomed Campaign. We also have Carrie Lucas, president of Independent Women's Forum. So let's start with you on this, Christina. What do you make of the secretary's comments?
Well, they speak for themselves, right? Just as he said, government is trying to function amid all of the chaos that's coming from within the White House. And as we're seeing right now, the importance of responding to the hurricane, everybody that's in government has to kind of keep focused. And there are a lot of distractions. And I think you've heard similar messages from Republicans who are trying to put their nose down and not respond to every single thing that the president is saying or doing.
Jonathan, is he saying, I'm going the other way? Does it indicate that they're not necessarily singing from the same sheet of music on some serious issues?
Well, I think what Secretary Tillerson's trying to do there is to distance himself on this particular issue so that he has more credibility on other ones. I thought the most fascinating piece of this was his effort to distance the values of the American people from those of the President of the United States, to telegraph to the rest of the world and, of course, the domestic audience that he believes the American values are different than what Donald Trump's are. That's pretty amazing. You couple that with what Gary Cohn said to the Financial Times the other day, the president's economic advisor, distancing himself on some of these issues. These guys are either getting licensed to say what they want to say, or they are in a position where they feel like it's more risky to be silent than to risk angering the president. And either that's because he doesn't have the leverage to fire them, or they're just not as worried about their jobs as they are about their own reputations.
And really building on that here, Carrie, is to what degree, not only in his own administration, but then other key Republicans, right? As you take a look at the Hill in Congress, as President Trump, as he creates a rift with his own party, the latest, in addition to what we've already discussed, the decision to pardon former Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio, that we got that information on Friday. He's receiving criticism from some key GOP members. You've seen the comments, Senator John McCain saying it undermines his claim for the respect of rule of law. There was also a critical tweet from Senator Jeff Flake, also Arizona. Does the president simply here, in your view, when you look at this, not care here, Carrie, about the party's view, especially those key leaders on the Hill from the GOP?
Well, certainly. I mean, this is a president and Congress that haven't always had the best relations. There's a lot of different interests. It's interesting, as much as we talk about the president's struggles in terms of public opinion, a lot of members of Congress actually have lower favorability ratings than the president does. So, of course, where he can get away, he's got a base who will support him through thick and thin. Not all the members of Congress have that. So they're doing kind of a delicate dance here. But I think, it's kind of interesting to always focus on kind of the drama between all these key players, but that's not what the American people wants to think about. And I think that for Republicans, both in the White House and in Congress, they need to start to be able to deliver the goods. It doesn't matter if they don't get along. It doesn't matter what who said what about whom. They need to get something like tax reform done so that the American people and their voters and base can see that they can make progress together. And that's at the end of the day what's going to matter for their prospects.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of weeks before they're going to have to start tackling those key issues of tax reform. We're looking at money issues like budget and the debt ceiling. Christina, if he's coming at them right now, he hasn't been shy about Mitch McConnell, another example, right? How is he going to get this done?
Well, we keep talking about, you're using the terms like his own party. President Trump doesn't talk about it that way. He talks about me and he talks about them, even though that is his same party. And, we know that during the Republican primary, there was a lot of opportunity for some of these same Republican leaders to speak out then on some of the issues. Trump was pretty clear how he felt about Joe Arpaio back during the campaign. Trump was very clear about his immigration policy and how he felt about, a number of policy issues that he has implemented in the White House. And those Republicans chose to kind of stand aside, to stay quiet. Even times where they said they wouldn't stand by him, they ultimately said they would vote for their party's nominee. So, they're having it both ways in a lot of ways, and they do have these major issues facing them in Congress. But right now, anything that the president really threatens doesn't come with a lot of teamwork or the ability to come together on something. And this could be a big issue with the debt ceiling. We've seen a government shutdown in 2013 that everybody thought would hurt Republicans at the polls. They ended up winning back the Senate. So there's a lot of that political consequence, that Kerry was mentioning. That base for the president is very different than the base for a lot of these members of Congress, and particularly here in California, we've got several House Republicans who are considered vulnerable in the midterms. And if they are less popular than President Trump with their base, it's going to be a problem for them.
Jonathan, is he looking at that reality that Congress has a lower favorability rating and he's playing that against them?
Oh, absolutely. He loves nothing better than a feud. If he can do it on Twitter or do it on television, all the better. I think Christina makes an important point. We should not assume that the president is, as most establishment presidents are, very concerned about the prospect of a government shutdown. His base likes the idea of disrupting government. Ted Cruz, who forced that shutdown that Christina spoke about in 2013, ended up giving Donald Trump as good a run for his money in the Republican nominating contest as anybody else. So I think, the idea that Donald Trump is going to give easily because of a prospective shutdown may not be operative.
Kerry Lucas, I owe you one. We've got to cut this one short. We'll get you next time, and I appreciate your time. Jonathan Allen as well, and Christina Bellantoni. Have a good Sunday.
Take care, Richard.
All righty. And our Harvey coverage continues with the latest on rescue efforts.